FBI/CIA agents of Reddit. What's something that you can't tell us without killing us? My aunt has been an FBI agent for 25 years. The only thing I know about her job is that she's an office administrator, but her information went public somehow when she was a part of the team that investigated the Mandalay Bay shooting in Las Vegas. Someone found the name and address of most of the agents that worked that scene and put it up online, not sure why. She also took me and my family on a tour of Las Vegas FBI headquarters about 15 years ago. One interesting thing that I remember about that building is that all the doors were floor-to-ceiling 9-foot doors. Thought that was weird. I work with the Australian Federal Police with the Spider Squad doing computer stuff for them in regards to pedos and finding trafficking victims. It is the most heartbreaking work, but when you get them, the office looks like NASA after a Mars landing. Edit. Left 3 and a bit years ago, but do get called up often to lend a hand. Somewhat unrelated, but my great uncle was an FBI agent. Every time we would ask him if he had any interesting stories, but he would say he was sworn to secrecy. After 10 years of hearing this, my sister asked, "Really?" And we responded with, "No, I just don't remember anything interesting happening." My high school girlfriend works for the NRO after college. At the time, they were responsible for analyzing the nation's spy satellite photos. She told me 2 things. There's a special garbage chute for classified materials. It's in the hallway. When you are new, as a hazing ritual, you have to shout your badge number down the chute before throwing any materials. This is hilarious. She wouldn't tell me anything about the resolution quality of the spy photos, of course, but she did let it slip that because Russian sailors would sunbathe nude on the decks of their submarines in the Black Sea, several women in the office would pin those photos up in their cubicles as beefcake photos. So a few decades ago, US spy photos could resolve Russian penis. Brian Bendis, creator of Miles Morales, House of M, etc., has a story about doing a talk at GBCI, Langley, and being told to wait in a break room, not allowed to have his laptop, phone, his own notebook, or a pen, but was supplied with a notebook when he walked in, that'd be reviewed when he left. A young analyst walks in for coffee, sees him sitting there, recognizes him as a famous comic book author, Brian Michael Bendis, and starts to react like a fan. He then pauses, starts sweating, and quietly asks Bendis if this is a test of some kind. There is a book called Moscow Rules. It was written by 2 CIA people, all about, well, the skies. The CIA had all these agents in Russia, but the Russians were insane about following literally every single American in Russia, 24/7, looking for spies. So a huge part of their job was trying to shake off the KGB. They had crazy quick change disguises, all sorts of stuff. The movie Argo was based on one of the writers somewhat. Not CIA, but I've worked with and know guys in intelligence. Most of the intelligence we get is from OSINT, open source intel, i.e. news articles, press releases, news networks, and government announcements. Most people think that everyone in intelligence is some James Bond, Jason Bourne type of individual, when in reality, the majority of analysts sit at a desk and go through news articles all day. That said, that's not the only method we have to gather intel, but it is where most of it comes from. Even analysts that are using methods such as Gionti, Iminti, and Siginti spend their day cropping images for minute details or replaying and monitoring the same signal over and over again. I have no idea if the following is true, but it was recounted to me about 20 years ago by someone with epic credentials, and I've never heard the story in any other media. So here goes. Before the Berlin Wall came down, Soviet radio operators used to carry their own activation keys for the military radio sets. There were slight differences in the electrical properties of each operator's key, which minutely adjusted the broadcast signal properties. Even though the main radio equipment was dotted around the place, the Western powers were able to determine which keys were used and so track individual operators by closely analyzing the transmission properties. The NATO listeners couldn't break the messages themselves, but the intel was still very useful. Normally, only a few Soviet operators were active in peacetime, but if there were tensions or military exercises planned, more would be brought in. One day, every operator started transmitting in relay. All of them were sending messages. It was a sign that something big was afoot, but the NATO commanders had received no advanced intelligence of any activity at all. This was highly unprecedented, unique even. They started to panic. Could it be a prelude to an attack? What were the Ruskies up to? Plans for counter scenarios and even possible first strike actions were warmed up just in case the unthinkable happened. Then, one of the NATO's own radio operators noticed something strange. Radio equipment also had an unidentifiable broadcast fingerprint separate from the operator keys, and he noticed all the transmissions were originating from the same equipment at a single location close to the east-western border. He passed this information up to the chain of command with recommendation to send a spy plane over the top to see what's going on. One was immediately scrambled. The pictures that came back immediately pissed off the generals. The Ruskies were indeed using their operators to send messages from one location. Each operator was lining up in a long queue, entering a radio building, broadcasting a brief radio burst, then retrieving their key and moving back to the queue to wait their next return. But the shape of the line was annoyed the military brass. The Russians had found out their operators were being tracked and knew how NATO would react given the activity they created. The line snaking around the radio building was in the shape of the hammer and sickle. I don't know what Russians is for, but that was definitely the message on that picture. I have a few friends that are CIA officers. First thing is that the people that work for the CIA are not CIA agents, they are officers. The people they recruit to spy for them are agents. Also, going on a tangent, I am 90% sure I have been one of those agents when I was dealing with a Mexican logistics company while working at General Motors. The logistics company we were dealing with was owned by a multi-billion-dollar Mexican clan, and all the ultra-wealthy clans in Mexico all have ties to various cartels, so some federal agencies got involved, mainly FBI and I believe a few DEA. But one guy was specifically not wearing any badges and was not willing to identify what agency he was working for, and questioned me on a lot of specific details of what the company's capabilities were. Though getting back on track, anyone who is a US citizen can apply to join the CIA. It isn't that hard. If you have any kind of degree in computer science, statistics, engineering, or accounting and don't have anything that would f up you getting a clearance, getting a job will be relatively easy there. And as implied with that previous comment, working at the CIA is far more boring than you would think. Lots of tracing manufacturing capabilities from what I described with the Mexican logistics company to find out how China sources the components they use to manufacture their satellites. Most of the job is agents talking about looking forward to retirement, time waster trainings, whining about the shitty new guys, how the job has changed, shady hiring practices, new policies designed to maximize agent liability while letting the old skirt chasers retire with BS lifetime achievement awards, and wondering how the hell the current agency admins got to be in charge. By the time you finally get that amazing career case, the passion, skill, and dedication you have when you started is long gone because the agency doesn't really care about you or any of the cogs. The US Attorney's Office isn't interested in anything they can't win with absolute certainty. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy the 2 videos I left below. And if you liked this video, like it. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. Alright, until next time, bye.